how can people get past the intimidation of just picking up the phone?
This is what I did for myself, and I figured it out on my own over the course of doing it for 2 to 3 years straight. And so what it is you write out the script once a day, you have a role play partner once a day, and then you're saying it 5 times, chanting to yourself in a voice note for accountability to your team leader. In this case, it was me. The agent on my team, she is about to close her first sale. She's been 4 or 5 months with me, not even. But in rentals, the confidence of working on the sales scripts gave her so much confidence on the rental transactions that she's closed and she's already made over $21,000 in gross commissions. She's 24 years old. She has no idea what to say, how to say it, except I put her in that training system.
Hi, I'm Noel with today's Brew, where top producing real estate agents share their tips and tricks on taking more listings, making more money, and having fun doing it. On today's episode, we welcome Dean Clark from Hoboken, New Jersey. Dean, how are you?
Doing fantastic, Noel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So tell us a little bit about your history in real estate.
Sure. I got in the business about 13 years ago. I had gotten my license when I was in college to really help out my mother, because my mother has been an agent for 30 years now. And so I decided, this is a plan B, kind of thing, not a first career whatsoever. And so but when you're 23 years old and you want to work on Wall Street and conquer the world, and then the world falls apart on you, there's not many options out there. So I had worked for like a boiler room, basically stock brokerage, making a lot of cold calls throughout the day. When I was 23, 24 years old, that really got my work ethic in line. And then from there, the world blew up, financial crisis happened. I'm like, okay, mom, I need a job. Hey, she's like, you know what? Go meet with one of my friends in Hoboken. And because I was looking for an apartment there anyway, she's like, just go in there and just have your license there and just do whatever. I'm like, okay, fine. So fast forward, that was 2011, 12, I want to say. And then I was on my own for about a year. And then I was a buyer's agent on a team where we were early adopters of Zillow for the first 7 years of my true career of being a full-time real estate agent. So I closed a lot of Zillow leads. By the end of 2016, I think I closed like 47 Zillow leads personally. That was a lot of work, 7 days a week, literally. There's no, Noel, there's no days off when you're working buyer leads like that. So, and these are internet, right? So, but again, that was when Zillow was cost effective. It made sense. And we did a lot of good work with that. Now, and since 2017, when I went on my own, the last 7 years here, I've been my own agent and founder of the Dean Clark Group.
Okay, so you have a team now then, yeah?
Yeah, small team. Yes. I have a bigger organization with the EXP thing, but it's more just like a really small ninja-like team here.
Okay, so I like that. All right, so what are your listings versus buyer sales nowadays?
So from a percentage perspective, that's what you're asking, right? So we're definitely selling about 75% listings, 25% buyers.
That's awesome.
Whereas before I was at, the opposite, and then we kind of like most of us
buyers.
Right. But it was great because when we found like the coaching company that we were with before, or at least I was, Mike Ferry, it was very much like a harder transition for the first year or two. But then as soon as you get locked in with that like mentality, you just can go and you work on your skills and then you just get better and better. And, I looked at guys that could be on the phone all day and do this kind of thing. This was like, wow, like, how do you do that? And, and I thought I was a good agent, closing 47 buyer deals in 1 year. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a buyer's agent on a team.
Good agent. That is a good agent. An agent with no life.
Yeah. We had a pretty good, but yeah. So we turned it around. It's 75-25. So.
Okay. How many deals will you close this year?
This year we'll close around 70 to 75.
Awesome. And are you referring all your buyer leads out and just sticking to the phones and looking for listings?
It is on a very rare occasion that like a past client like absolutely needs to work with me. I'm referring every lead that I get. Past client referrals on the buyer side. We also something that in my market, so Hoboken and Jersey City and these, like I'm up the coast, like right across from New York City on the Jersey side. And so we're a vertical market. So we work a lot with condos and multifamilies. And so part of the income source that we have is also rental transactions. And so I have a rental specialist on my team, and she like literally does like a rental a week. And so we'll do like, 75 to 80 rental deals. I'm just talking about the sales 75. So we'll do an additional, because those are people that also say to me, Noel, they say, all right, we don't want to sell. The numbers don't look good. We're just going to keep renting it. So, but they were prospects and they just turned to rental. So it's just a function of our market. And, that would probably equate to somewhere in the vicinity of like 35 to 45 million, depending upon how it all shakes out.
Wow. That is really cool. Okay. So let's talk about your prospecting then. Walk us through your prospecting schedule and your phone warriors.
Okay. So I am, going into the prospecting base of everything, it is, if we're talking personally, I am, now back in the seat in a big way. I did more leadership managing roles last year. Kind of, it was almost like a hiatus from like personal production, even though we still did a lot of business and I still was able to close a lot. And so, but the reality is I'm on the phones around 7:45, 7:55 in the morning. Since we've been back from this trip, it's like more like 8:15, but it's usually around 8:00 that I'm 100% hitting on the phone and going on the phones. And it goes with expireds. I hit up the FISBOs, and now I've been going to the FURBOs, the for rent by owners. I've had a couple sales from that so far this year, which is astounding to me. And then I go right to my database. Past clients, your sphere, other agents like yourself and other people around the country that I meet. I'm like, hey, just, letting you know I'm still an agent over here, whatever. And then I go into just sold calls if I have time. But then in terms of, I'm a big believer that I personally feel, and I hear on our phone warrior group, Noel, that a lot of agents, they just don't follow up enough. And I feel like we get caught in this like prospecting conundrum where we're just roundabout the same. It's like you reach out to one person and then it's just like, okay, you want to do it like in a year? I'll call you in a year. And they have no follow-up plan. They don't get an email address. They get nothing. And we have a rule in my company where in my team, in my company, where my downline with EXP. And I say, look, you have a 3-month process. If someone says a year, you cannot. First off, it's a 1-month cadence of follow up, no matter what. Oh, and they say, well, Dean, what do I say to these people? You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. Well, that's what we work on, obviously.
Yep.
But the schedule that's the prospecting schedule that's from like 8 to 12. But usually after the first round of like expireds, I call expireds about 3 times in a row. So I'm calling expireds like in that first half hour, like 3-4 times in a row from like sometimes
the
different numbers.
Same number.
Same. Yeah. It's like, so let's say you get 10 expireds like in a morning, you get into your rhythm. I'm calling those leads. I'm calling those leads 3 to 4 times in a row.
Okay.
You'd be surprised. What's that?
I've never done it that way, but then you're making a lot.
No one did that until a coach told me to do that. It is like a game changer, because you'd be surprised that when they keep seeing the same number or like multiple numbers, and then like they will tell me like, oh my God, so many realtors are calling me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I have no idea who those other people were, but guess what? I'm here now. This is why we need to meet. I'll see you at 4:00 or whatever it is, and that's how we do it.
You're like, I was 3 times in a row, but I'm never telling. Let's go back to the FURBO thing you said. So you're having a lot of success with that, and all right, break that down for me. What are you saying to them to get these FURBOs to list with you? Are you using the lack of inventory as a script, or what are you saying to get them?
Well, I just use the expired script. I just switch it to leasing. So I just say, hey, Noel, this is Dean Clark with EXP Realty here in Hoboken. I saw that you have your unit for rent by owner, and I'm just curious to see when you were planning on interviewing an agent for the job of leasing out your unit.
Okay. But then you're getting
to open it up. If they say yes or no, I know there's some scripts out there that go right for the jugular and saying, well, have you considered selling? But I'm a big believer in meeting the prospect where they are. And then you can, by question-based selling, you can then lead them down the path to see what's a better option and then let them choose. And that's when we get into the, okay, now we're going to sell conversation. And that's how those sales have happened.
Okay. So as far as call reluctance, like you said, you have people that are like, well, what am I going to say to them, Dean? Like, what about the other agents out there that feel the same way, other than knowing your scripts? How can people get past the intimidation of just picking up the phone?
Okay. Well, I can give you an agent on my team who started with me in February. Okay. So I have a whole like PowerPoint slide on this whole thing. So like when we do our
Good,
phone warrior events, yeah. So it's basically she's been going through my 90-day training cycle plan, and this is what I did for myself, and I like figured it out on my own over the course of doing it for 2 to 3 years straight. And
okay.
so what it is you write out the script, once a day. You have a role play partner once a day, and then you're saying it 5 times, chanting to yourself in a voice note for accountability to your team leader. In this case, it was me, and the agent on my team. She is about to close her first sale. She's been 4 or 5 months with me, not even. But in rentals, the confidence of working on the sales scripts gave her so much confidence on the rental transactions that she's closed, and she's already made over $21,000 in gross commissions. She's never been in sales. She's 24 years old. She has no idea what to say, how to say it, except I put her in that training system, and it seems to be working. But it's role playing, and you got to practice. If you don't, I mean, you know this. Like, I don't know how else to stress this enough. Is that we do not spend enough time practice because we're so like, I got to pay my mortgage, I got to do this. Let me just talk to somebody. But you don't realize that, like, if you don't sharpen that axe in any material way, you are going to get left behind. And I have recordings. I just a month ago, I took a listing from an expired from earlier in the year, and she's like, no, like straight up, just no. I'm not going to do anything with you. Whatever. I'm happy to send anyone their recording because it's. I was actually blown away by myself by doing it, but it was basically that she just said, and then I followed up with her like in my cadence of once a month. I got her on the phone again. Sometimes you got to call from different numbers, but I did it, and she picked up, and she's like, no, I already have an agent actually, Dean. I appreciate you continuing to follow up and everything. We had a good conversation, so I knew how to. There's something called. Do you ever hear this? Trace the tree. Okay. So we all have to trace the tree. In other words, how much information do you have in your espresso account, like CRM or whatever you're using? And you need to have that in there. So then I'm not thinking about what to say. I just say, hey, I know, Noel, you mentioned to me back then. And then so all I'm doing is tracing this tree, and I build this beautiful tree of information that I use on them for them to like get back. And they're like, wait, oh, we did speak. Oh, I didn't realize that.
No. I didn't know you called it that, but I definitely do that. But I'm like so old school. Like when I first got into it, everyone's like, just get a little index card. And I still will get a little index card, but I'm old school. I will write the date on there, and I'll have little tidbits of information that we talked about. So yes, I just didn't know the terminology.
Yeah. But then she said to me, she's like, yeah. And then she's like, well, but I have an agent, they're going to give me a good commission split and all that stuff. I said, that's fine. Listen, I'm actually happy that you're interviewing people because that's the right thing you should probably be doing. What can I make a suggestion? She's like, what does that mean? Okay, fine. And she goes, well, I was like, listen, you owe it to yourself to make sure that you get a second opinion before you recommit to another agent that you didn't have a successful outcome with before. So let's do this. I have availability on Monday, and I just went for the close. And she said yes. And I was just like, wow, okay. But it was just like, I didn't stop. And I think that a lot of agents, we don't dig deep enough. I think we're so scared of what to say and how to say it. It's like, you need to practice, but you also, once you practice, you have to be curious. Not so many agents stop and they're just like not curious enough because they don't care enough. Either you really care and you're curious enough to find out, like, well, I would want to find out, Noel, what's going on in your situation, so I can dig deep enough without getting too personal. It's relating to business, to where I'm like, okay, I know where your pain points are for me to trigger those in a conversation and just be like aloof about it, and then just move it to the next sales process.
Do you think that boils down to, though, different personality traits? Like, to me, are you an amiable?
Yeah, very much so.
I knew it, because so am I. So was Elle last week, and everything that you just said. And then I've interviewed and been surrounded by drivers, and they're like a bulldozer, where they have literally said the exact opposite to me. And they're successful agents, but they're like, oh, if I get a no, I'm like, okay, cool, on to the next. Like, that's a no, next. But I'm like, really? Like,
But
I called someone for a year.
so are
I'm not
you an
joking.
amiable, by the way? Are you an amiable?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
totally.
So here's what this is what I was told from a coach recently. He said, amiables that can close. See, the
Mm-hmm.
problem with amiables is that we don't close enough. So
Yeah,
I had to relearn how to actually close for the signature, close for the appointment a lot more. And so now I don't get off the phone unless I'm closing 5 times.
okay.
So like
Okay.
but like I do it in my amiable way. But I
Yeah.
think also we kind of we try to find ourselves in the business, you know what I mean? Like personality wise. And it's
Mhm.
like to your point, like drivers just go for it. I mean, you got to be authentic to yourself. And I'm
Yeah.
authentic to being amiable, but I also know I have to close more because I want them to feel good about our conversation and not
Mhm.
just be like, oh, you know, like, because I really do care. I just genuinely
I
care
know.
too much.
I know. Me too. Me too. So how many times will you call before you just give up?
It all depends. There's
Yeah.
no
Have
there's
you
no
ever
right
called
answer to that.
someone for a year?
I came up with this thing where I said, look, you know, and I'm good friends with like people like Dan Mum and other people that I know very well and everything, but I have a commission check number that I will never stop following up, assuming that you gave me some interest level in the beginning. I don't just
Okay.
follow up with anybody, but if you say from like a just sold call or an expired, there is still interest there. You're not telling me like 5 years down the road, or if you're 2 years usually or less, and your commission check. So my number is 25 grand. If
Mhm.
I will follow up with you until you're ready to sell. I mean, straight up.
Yeah. Why not?
Because
Until
then,
they
because as
block.
soon as it hits, well, think about it, because my average price is 700,000, right? So if I get that listing, or if that happens, that's it. That's if I just do 3 to 4 of those a month, you do the
Yeah.
math. I mean,
Yeah. Anyone can do that math. Yeah.
yeah.
We all want that math. We want exactly that. So average 700, that's good. That's not our sales median here. Um, but I tend to look for higher when when I'm going through Espresso Agent. I'm like, because also I'm selective on my neighborhoods a little bit too. Now, will you just let the dialer do its business and then uh X them out later, or do you kind of
Um,
refine them as you go through them?
No, you refine them. I just have it on the dialer where I have four buckets for every person I speak to. It's either
Okay.
you're a future follow up, you're an active listing,
Mhm.
you are a potential referral, or you're just trash. And I just move the buckets every single call. I'm doing something with that person, because if I speak to the owner, let's say, and also too, I think our follow up system and just our organization as agents is atrocious. It is so bad. If I looked into your CRM, or anyone, not yours, but like
Yeah.
anyone's CRM, I bet you don't have organized, like, you know,
Oh, 100%.
right. Sales at the highest level to me is discipline and details, and you need to be organized. But the problem with the type of person that gets attracted to sales and like this business is someone who's disorganized, ADD, and like you just don't know how to focus. But at some point, you got to know how to focus, and you have. But if there's anyone that's doing more than 25 deals a year, I guarantee you they figured out how to focus, or there's some that was me. I mean,
Yeah.
I found running as an example, like working out, like that was it
Mhm.
put me in the right mindset. I was doing marathons for a while, and that set me straight, and I was able to just like go from, you know, my 20-25 deal a year to, you know, and then I went to 45, and then I went to 50, then I went to 65, and then I went to 75, and you know, it just, you know, you gotta be focused and organized.
It works. And you keep
Yeah.
a healthy mindset with your workout routine, de-stress, get ready for you do it in the morning, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
then you're ready to get to business. Okay, so if you had a little bit of advice for a newer agent or an agent that's just become a little stagnant, what would it be?
The first thing is to join our phone warriors group. We have a prospecting Zoom where any agent can get on there. It doesn't matter where you're coaching, where you're training, what systems you use. I don't care what that is, but it's just it's a national Zoom where agents can get in there, listen to top producers and agents alike to just do their thing. And what you need is exposure. And that's why I'm bringing this up, by the way. It really wasn't meant to be a plug. It's to say that a new agent that's struggling, if you're new and you're just trying to figure it out, you need constant exposure to the right things. And how do you know it's the right thing? You'll know because you'll just get into like the community or whatever community it is, and you'll just get like that like feeling of like, ooh, I don't know if I'm resonating with this or not. There's multiple coaches out there. There's multiple CRMs, but like the one thing that I would just say is constant exposure to positivity, good people, and get that access to people that are actually doing the thing. So
100%. Absolutely right. Can you go a little more into depth about how they can reach out for Phone Warriors? How they can
so
get
we're
involved?
Facebook. Yep. So we have a community Facebook page. You can just join right there, put in your info. From there, you'll be in the featured section. You'll see the Zoom link where we all pop in. I mean, this morning, even right now, to this, as of right, it happens 6 days a week. Someone's on all the time. If you need a prospecting buddy, you know, we have a saying in the group now that friends don't let friends prospect alone, because we know that it's a lonely type of activity and you're doing it by yourself sometimes. And so, you join the group chat and that's how you can find us.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Are there any rules? Like, do you have to be unmuted? Can you mute yourself and just simply have the camaraderie of
We've had a lot of, I in the beginning we did, because again, we have a very like MFO, like, you know, we had those things on. And so, but now I realize that it's just like, everyone starts somewhere. Sometimes it takes longer for people to, you know, be comfortable with a certain activity. I know it did for me. I mean, if I can share one quick story too, for anyone that's aspiring to do this. Okay. So this is a true story and it's kind of funny, but this is before I had kids with my wife, and we were taking a walk, you know, this was probably about 8 years ago, and we're taking a walk and I'm about to make a big move, being on my own from a team and everything. And I heard about this Mike Ferry thing, and I was like, hey, I'm going to practice my scripts. Can I role play with you, honey? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So we're taking a walk, we're getting to get coffee, and I start. She's the seller. And she's supposed to be a FSBO, and so I am the agent. And so I get into it, and then she stops me after like the first 2 lines, and she says, "Is this how we're going to make a living? Like, are we going to depend on this skill set for you to sound like this? Because if you sound like that, no one's going to buy from you, especially around here, because everyone in Jersey is very much like to the point." So if there's anyone that's out there that is struggling with scripts, I was a horrible FSBO prospector, expired. Like, I just didn't know what to say. And then, but you put in the work 2 to 3 years down the road. I mean, I say years. I mean, people think it's going to happen like in a month. I mean, it takes sometimes, for me, it took years. It could take some people that's a lot smarter. You have higher intelligence than me. Fine, get it done. But when she said that to me, it really like dawned on me, like, oh wow, like I need to practice and get this situated like now.
I mean, talk about a great, healthy relationship. Everyone needs someone like that in their life. I mean, being supportive, but also being very brutally real, like and honest with you. But look,
it wasn't like, oh, you're doing so great, honey. Yeah, she was just like, you suck. You need to practice. You need to get better. Otherwise, you got to find like another job, because it's not going to happen.
That's great. So everyone that's listening, yes, you can go on to Phone Warriors and you can stay muted until you feel comfortable. Right. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. Give us your phone numbers and email addresses in case anyone wants to send you referrals or any.
Sure. It's 201-240-8319 is my direct cell. Dean@deanclarkgroup.com. Also, a very good way to find me is on Instagram. Just at Dean Clark Group, and you can DM me anytime.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Noel.